In this lesson, we'll create facial expressions. What we'll do is create two facial expressions, and we'll then create a control in the following lesson to drive those targets. First things first, let's go ahead and bring back the face and the other objects that we've hidden. Underneath the hide rollout, we'll go ahead and find unhide by name. Let's go ahead and grab all three objects and choose unhide. Alright, great. We'll go ahead and press F3. Let's go ahead and grab the face and head over to our modify panel. So once we clone the face, we'll need to get rid of the skin modifier, or that will cause the face to snap right back to the same spot. So we're going to press Ctrl V, make this a copy. We won't rename it just yet. Let's go ahead and choose OK. Let's go ahead and trash the skin modifier. And we'll go ahead and now move this over to the side. Now when we grab our move tool, you'll notice that the pivot is closer to the origin. No worries, we can go to our hierarchy panel and choose Effect Pivot Only, Center to Object. Alright, let's go ahead and now turn off Effect Pivot Only so we can move over our mesh. With it selected, let's go ahead and create a layer. We'll name it Targets. Great. We've also made the default layer active. So when we go in and eventually hide the targets layer, won't hide any other objects we add to our scene. Alright, we can now go ahead and rename this face. That will be TRGT underscore smirk 01. So that's going to be the first expression that we sculpt. Let's go ahead and hold down Shift and drag out another copy. We'll name this TRGT sneer 01. Alright, we can now start to sculpt our expressions. Let's start with the smirk. And let's make sure what we sculpt kind of matches the character's personality. So we should have a lot of fun with this. Let's go to our vertex subobject level and we'll grab a point at the corner of the mouth on the left side. Let's work with soft selection. We'll have that enabled. We'll start to drop our fall off. And now we can start to pull our points. So we'll start to bring them up. Great, and we'll pull them back a bit. We want a nice crease. We'll grab our rotate gizmo and add a bit of a twist. That looks nice. And we might consider grabbing our move tool and just kind of pulling these points out a bit, just to stretch the face here. Alright, great. So once we've done that, we can now go ahead and start to tweak the cheek. Let's go ahead and drop our fall off a bit so we don't have too much of an influence area. What we want to do here is just make sure we don't lose volume in the cheek. So we'll go ahead and pull it out a bit. I'll drop the fall off a bit more here. We'll start to pull out these points. Alright, this looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll add a mesh smooth to this. Let's go to our modifier list. And once it's been applied, let's go ahead and deselect. I'll also go ahead and press F4 to kind of hide the wireframe. We'll just go ahead and take a look at what we have sculpted. Alright, I'd say this looks pretty cool. If anything, we might go ahead and maybe pull up a few points. I'll go ahead and trash the mesh smooth node. So we're just about there. I'll go ahead and grab one of the first points that we've tweaked and we'll go ahead and just pull that up on the cheek, that is. So I think it was a bit too low. Great. Alright, so we have one expression. Let's go ahead and work on the sneer. So again, we'll go ahead and work with soft selection. Let's go ahead and enter into our vertex of object level. And we'll grab a point on the upper lip that favors the right side of the face. We'll turn on soft selection. We'll start to drop our fall off. And take a look at something. You can see how much influence we have as we start to pull this point. We're grabbing the lower lip as well. But if we use edge distance, that will help us to make sure that our influence region kind of wraps around the mesh. So we'll go ahead and use edge distance. We'll go ahead and increase that value a bit. Now we can start to pull our points and take a look. We're only driving the upper lip. Great. Let's go ahead and grab a point on the nostril. We'll start to pull that up a bit. We'll continue to sculpt this, just kind of lifting up our shape to create a really cool expression. Alright, sweet. Now I want to leave these shapes around just in case we'd like to tweak things here and there. It'd be a good idea to leave our targets in this file, but remember, you could always go ahead and save a file that doesn't include the target so you can drop your file size a bit. So now that we have our facial expressions, we could always go in and create our morpher modifier. Let's go in and find that. We'll press the M key a few times. There it is. Let's make sure it's between the editable poly and the skin modifier so it gets evaluated in the right order. Great. Now remember, for this first channel, we'll go ahead and capture the current state of our base mesh. So we'll go ahead and find capture current state, and we'll name it base. Alright, sweet. So now it's time to add the others. Let's go ahead and right click on the next empty channel. We'll choose pick from scene and we'll grab that face. We'll go to the next channel, right click, pick from scene, grab that face. So now we'll go ahead and scroll down and turn on automatically reload targets. Great. So we can start to see how the facial shapes are coming along. We'll go ahead and hide the skeleton. We'll also hide our hidden layer. Take a look at how clean the rig looks after doing that. Alright, so we could go ahead and start to test out our expressions. Let's see how the smirk looks. Alright, super cool. And because we've made sure the morpher modifiers in the right order, when we start to, let's say, open up the jaw, you can see everything gets added on top. Now we can go back to our face, go back to the morpher modifier. I'll go ahead and right click on the smirk to go ahead and drop that, and I'll start to work with the sneer. Alright, really neat. This looks cool. Alright, so there we have it. And remember, we can blend between these expressions if we'd like. So there's a bit of the smirk, and there's the sneer. So now all we need is a control object to drive these a lot easier. We don't want animators to constantly have to go back to the face. So instead, we can just go ahead and create a control, and we'll add that above our control system, so it's very easy to grab. So let's go ahead and stop the lesson here, and in the next lesson we'll essentially finish our rig, and then following that we'll do a bit of cleanup work, and then we'll go over your assignment for level 4.